Welcome to This Week in Combat Sports, part of the Shambhala Sports Network and also in association with MMA Jacked. A couple of quick corrections before we get into this week's show. Ultimate Fight Night 21 is on March 21st, not March 31st. I also said that Amir Khan was a 2004 Olympic gold medalist. Nope, he is a silver medalist. I am sure he would prefer the gold, but I misspoke. I know I wrote silver on my script, but for some silly reason I spoke gold. I'm sorry. Now, let's get into this week's news, shall we? The Ultimate Fighter Season 5 alum Corey Hill made a triumphant return to the world of MMA. His journey back from a possible career-ending injury ended January 24th with a unanimous decision win in Niagara Falls, New York. If you don't remember, Hill was on the Fight for the Troops card in December of 2008 facing Dale Hart. Hill threw a leg kick, and Hill's leg snapped in one of the nastiest breaks I have ever seen. Now I have to give kudos to Dana White and the UFC for covering all of Hill's medical bills. Hopefully, Hill will be able to work his way back to the UFC to compete at the highest level in the sport. Chael Sonnen will be facing Nate Marquardt at UFC 109 and hope to move to the front of the line for the next crack at the UFC middleweight title. But Sonnen let it be known that he is not a fan of the middleweight champ Anderson Silva. Sonnen said in an interview with MMA Weekly that Silva has such disdain for the media that Silva plays the I don't speak English card. Also, Sonnen believes that he has Silva's number, and if they ever meet, Sonnen would easily beat Anderson Silva. As much as I want Marquardt to get his rematch against Anderson Silva, I now want Sonnen to get his shot. There would be a lot of motivation on both sides of the cage. That would be a nasty fight. Speaking of Anderson Silva, his elbow has recovered from surgery and Silva is now ready to return to the cage. UFC 112 in April looks to be the event. The opponent will be Vitor Belfort and the place will be Abu Dhabi. Silva last defended the belt against Talasladis at UFC 97, but Silva's last bout in the octagon was UFC 101, taking all of 3 minutes to beat former light heavyweight champ Forrest Griffin. UFC 112 was officially announced recently with 2 main events on the card. The aforementioned Silva versus Belfort for the UFC middleweight belt and BJ Penn versus Frankie Edgar for the UFC lightweight strap. In past interviews with UFC President Dana White, a new facility will be built specifically for the April event in Abu Dhabi. Dan Henderson has confirmed that his first bout with Strikeforce will be against Strikeforce middleweight champ Jake Shields on the April CBS card, and the middleweight strap will be on the line. Henderson was very complimentary of Shields, saying that Shields is not someone to overlook. While Henderson feels his wrestling and striking are better than Shields, Henderson said that he can't be very aggressive with someone that is trying to take him down. This fight will definitely go to the ground, and I think the chess match between the two grapplers will be very educational to watch. We'll talk more about this fight in April. Wes Sims is scheduled to face Bobby Lashley this Saturday at Strikeforce Miami, but the man who does not let the truth get in the way of a good story has another bout scheduled in the not-too-distant future. Sims will be facing former two-time UFC heavyweight champ Tim Sylvia in Ohio in March. No word on what promotion will be the host for this bout. The initial announcement was made on Sylvia's Twitter account and was soon confirmed by Sims. If Sylvia can't get past Sims, providing Sims isn't medically suspended from his bout with Lashley, this bout could be the first real step for Sylvia to work his way back to the top of the heavyweight ranks. Is the Matt Serra versus Frank Trigg bout a loser leaves town match? According to Frank Trigg, it is. In an interview with MMAweekly.com, Trigg says that there is no reason for the UFC to keep either fighter if they lose. And as you can guess, the war of words has started between Matt Serra and Frank Trigg. In a recent Matt Serra video blog, Serra quotes Trigg, saying Trigg would need to be on his knees to look at Serra in the eye. Serra responded on the video, wondering about, well, nail polish, tattoo on the lower back, wanting to be on his knees. The build-up to this fight is so much fun to watch. One little bit of boxing news before we get into the Strikeforce Miami card. After capturing the WBA heavyweight title from Nikolai Valuev, WBA champ David Haye is promising his fans in Britain a brutal knockout of former heavyweight champ and now contender John Ruiz. Ruiz has a 44-8-1-1 record and was the WBA champ from 2001 to 2003. Ruiz beat Evander Holyfield in 2001 for the WBA title and lost the title to Roy Jones Jr. in 2003, but was able to get it back after Roy Jones Jr. just dropped the belt. This will be Hayes' first title defense since beating Valuev by majority decision. There was much written about the fact that Jay Hieron would be pushed to the undercard once again. This time, his bout with Joe Riggs would not be for the title and would be the final bout on the undercard. That being said, EA Sports is coming to the rescue and will stream the bout between Jay Hieron and Joe Riggs at Strikeforce Miami this Saturday on easportsmma.com. Way to go, EA Sports. And now to the main card. In the main event of Strikeforce Miami, Nick Diaz faces the white mare, Mariusz Zaromskis, for the vacant Strikeforce welterweight title. Diaz was the first ever WEC welterweight champ and also won the IFC welterweight belt with a win over Chris Lytle. Zaromskis is the Dream welterweight Grand Prix champion. Both fighters are dynamic strikers, but I think it would be better for Diaz to take this fight to the floor and work for a submission. Zaromskis, of course, will want to keep this fight standing. He won the Dream tournament with a couple of brutal head kicks. I'm going to go with Diaz in this fight due to experience and the ground game, but Diaz better watch out for those head kicks. 3 of the last 4 fights that Zaromskis won ended by head kick. The ladies are back, and this time champ Chris Cyborg will face jiu-jitsu ace Marlus Konen. Cyborg is a hurricane of violence that normally overwhelms her opponents and usually beats them into submission. Konen is a strategist that is extremely dangerous off her back. So don't be surprised if Konen pulls guard, but that might not be a good idea. Cyborg took a silver medal in the ADCC submission grappling event in Barcelona, Spain. Many are saying that Konen will pull off the upset by submission, but I still think that Cyborg is too much for any one of the women out there that might be in line for a title shot. Robbie Lawler returns to the Strikeforce cage for the first time since his loss to Jake Shields in June of 2009. Lawler will have his hands full with Melvin Manhoff. The one advantage that Lawler will have in this fight will be the grappling. 4 of Manhoff's 6 MMA losses have come by submission, but 23 of Manhoff's 24 wins have come by a knockout. Lawler will want to take this down to the ground. Lawler is a solid striker, but I think that Manhoff is on another level. If the fight stays on the feet, I'm going to be going with Manhoff, but if the fight does hit the ground, Lawler should be able to secure the victory. In the final 2 bouts of the main card, Herschel Walker makes his debut in MMA at the age of 47 against Greg Nagy, and the former WWE star Bobby Lashley will face Wes Sims. In the Walker-Nagy fight, you kind of have to pull for Walker. The guy is an athletic freak and still in amazing shape. Also training with the guys at the American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, California, they will have Walker very prepared for this fight. The Lashley-Sims fight, I see Lashley taking Sims down and pounding him out. I don't think Sims will be able to handle Lashley's strength and speed. Lashley will probably take this fight in the first round. That's it for this week. Remember, every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, it is Shambhala Sports Radio. This is the show for you to join us and discuss the latest news and fight matchups in MMA. We will also cover other major sports as well. Call in or join us in the Talk Shoe chat room. Links to news and events, head over to twicbs.com. Questions or comments, send your emails to twicbs@gmail.com or post on twicbs.com. Check out my latest interviews. They are up on twicbs.com. I got some time with Mike Swick, John Fitch, Brandon Vera, and UFC Gym VP Adam Sedlak. And please head over to twicbs.com and lend your support. We'll see you next week.